Hello there, dear friends. This is Bob Hatton. This is The Encourager. Sometimes we don't see things that are straight in front of us. I heard a story about a man who cleaned out his house in America, and he got some stuff that he didn't want. One of the things was a picture, a painting in a frame, and he thought it was horrible. He'd never had it on his wall. He didn't know where it come from, and so he went to the flea market and decided he was going to sell all this junk if he could find anybody who would want to buy it from him. So when he was at the flea market, another guy came along and he saw this picture and he decided he would buy it. So he gave the man $4 for the picture. He wasn't really interested in the picture, but he kind of liked the picture frame, and he had a picture at home that he would like to put in there. When he got home, he started to take the picture, the painting, and the frame. Take it away from, separate it from one another, and what he found, that in the frame at the back that had been covered up with another piece of paper, and it was folded up. He unfolded it, and what he discovered, it was a copy of the American Constitution. It was one of the first copies that had been made. It had been written by hand, copied from the original Constitution, or the draft Constitution of the United States. And eventually this copy was sold at one of the auctioneer houses. I don't know whether it was Sotheby's or Christie's, but one of these well-known auctioneer houses, and it brought nearly $2.5 million. There's something that is in front of our eyes and we don't see. Now, when I was a little boy, I can remember being in a nativity play, and I was one of the shepherds, and I was dressed in a dressing gown, and I had sandals on my feet without any socks, and a towel on my head. It was fixed there, and something that represented a crook in my hand, and the angels came dressed in night dresses and so on, and we went supposedly to Bethlehem to look at the baby. A year later, I think I got promoted, because I wasn't a shepherd. I was one of the three wise men. And when the shepherds were finished and they left the stable, then on came the wise men, and we brought gifts to the baby Jesus. And it's like then the play ended. And it may be that now we looked at the shepherds and the angels, the shepherds going to Bethlehem. Now they've left Bethlehem. So come on, let's bring on the wise men. Let's listen to the star of Bethlehem and how they got there and all these things. Let's see what we can find out about them. But wait a minute, there's something that is in the Bible that I've never seen that actually in a play that they did this, but it's right in front of our eyes. And if we go over to the wise men now, then we miss something that's right under our eyes. And it's on the 8th day, when Jesus was 8 days old, Joseph took him to a synagogue in Bethlehem, and he was circumcised, and he got the name Jesus. That's when he was named. Before that, he didn't have a name, but he was given the name Jesus. And the angel said he would be called Jesus because he would save his people from their sins. And this is very important. Now, what about circumcision? Well, circumcision was part of the law of Moses, and every boy had to be circumcised on the 8th day. In the verse that we've looked at a number of times, Galatians chapter 4 and verse 4, it says there that when the time was fulfilled, God sent his son. When the time came, God sent his son to be born of a woman. And then it goes on and it says, and to be born under the law. So when Jesus came, he was born under the law. And the circumcision, it tells us first of all that Jesus was a Jew. He belonged to the Jewish people. and this was a sign that he had, a sign that people normally didn't see, but he knew about it. He knew about this sign. And the second thing is also that circumcision was a reminder of the covenant that God had made with Abraham. Now, if you take the time and trouble to read the book of Galatians all through it and take some time to study it, you find out that this promise of God to Abraham was for him and for his descendant, singular, not plural. It was for one special descendant, and of course this descendant is Jesus. And it's Jesus who carries the promise of Abraham to bless all nations and to bless all families of the world. And of course this comes through the salvation that he brought. And of course it comes from the Jewish people, but through Jesus by faith. And the third thing about this circumcision was to remind Jesus that he was under the law. And he did say at one time, he's not come to abolish the law, but he's come to fulfill the law. And actually, in Galatians it tells us as well that the law is good, it comes from God, but actually it is something that condemns us. It tells us that we never quite make the mark. We're never quite good enough to reach God's standards, and there's consequences for that. Now, Jesus was born under the law, and the next verse 5 says in Galatians 4, it tells us so that he can redeem us from the law, because he kept the law, and of the perfect person he died for us. And in I think it's chapter 2 or maybe chapter 3, it says that Christ has redeemed us from the curse of the law. The curse of law is because we cannot fulfill the law, then we're cursed. All have sinned and fall short of the glory of God, and the wages of sin is death. That's the curse of the law. But Christ has redeemed us from the curse of the law by becoming a curse himself. And I think it's in the book of Deuteronomy. It's like just a by the way sentence, that accursed is everyone who hangs on the tree. And Jesus, of course, he was crucified, he was hung on wood, he was hung on a tree, and he became a curse because of the way he died. He became a curse so that he could redeem us from the curse of the law. This is part of salvation. We are no longer under the curse of death. Anyone who believes in me, even though he dies, he will live, Jesus says, and we have a wonderful promise. This is a message of Christmas. This is a message of salvation. So in your anticipation of the wise men taking the stage, don't miss this part. And of course, it goes on, and on the 40th day, they go then to Jerusalem. They go to the center of Judaism, to the temple, and they because they're poor people, they buy the cheapest offering, which is 2 doves, and these doves are pigeons. They're sacrificed so that the time of the purification for Mary is completed. It doesn't have much sense for us today, but it's just showing that they came and they were under the law. But Christ has redeemed us from the law. So this is good news, actually. God bless you, and I'll see you again. You're Bob Hatton, you're an encourager.